Rashan, in reference to Bailey's college journey, what would you say is your biggest fear, concern, or issue going into this process?
Well, my biggest fear, I wouldn't say fear, is that, and Janai knows this well, we really haven't prepared at this point. We're starting to, we finally got somebody in place, Janai.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't prepared financially for if she doesn't get a scholarship, if she doesn't, if she's just a regular student, I made it in. We would probably, we would make it happen, but there's not a pot for saying, this is Bailey's 150,000. She's good for college. And a lot of people look at my life and my career and how social media looks and all the success I've had and think that, oh, she's definitely got her pots for her children. So that is my greatest fear, that both me and my brother got scholarships. We came from master level parents. I'm sure, as financially savvy as my mother is, they had pots for us. I don't have that for my children right now. And that's just
Absolutely.
in full transparency. So that's a concern for me, which is why I was like, when Janai told me about this, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I want to learn a little bit more about what I can be doing on my end to help her, help us.
Well, the good thing is that you know that the process starts now and you all are identifying resources and opportunities. So, just a couple of things just off the top of my head in terms of access and opportunity. One of the things that under the platform that we've been talking about for our college scholarship tutoring session for today is IADW. It's a different world in terms of gathering information about your child first, assessing what their skills and abilities are, making sure that all of the, at least at a minimum of the three core areas, we call it the ATL, academics, test scores, and leadership, are shored up, because those are the key areas that will help either affirmative college acceptances as well as affirmative scholarship acceptances. The other piece too, which is often kind of weird and wonky, but I get it now. Tell me a story. Everybody
Mm-mm.
wants a story. A lot of times, what is the challenge? What is the issue that you've had to face in your life that you have overcome? That's a common theme in scholarship applications as well as college essays. They also want to be able to understand, how has your student served the community? How have they led? So looking for opportunities where she can organically serve the
Right.
community and a consistent pattern of service. One of the things that a lot of students run into when it's time for applications to go in is, who knows your child? I ask students, sit down and schedule time to talk to your headmaster, your principal. They
Right.
need to know you, because a principal's recommendation gives some weight. They need to volunteer. Miss such and such, principal such and such. I'll lead I'll do the such and such, and then I organically, staff will start identifying opportunities for your child. It used to be back in the day when we were coming to, oh, Rashawn, you can speak real well. You can lead
Right.
they don't do that. I mean, you got
Right.
500 kids. We might have had a class of 100. You got 500 kids. How do you find out who's unique? They have to make themselves known. They have to market
Mm-hmm.
themselves to teachers, to family, to clergy, your pastor, if you are a part of a religious or um, um, inspirational or spiritual community. The pastor ought to be able to, first communion, you were usher, you were youth leader in some type of capacity. So leadership can show up in a number of ways. But for high profile scholarship opportunities, those are the key areas. We talk about making sure that you shore up that academic profile and look for gaps. If a student has identified a school that they are interested in, pull down. Sometimes you have to do a little digging, but you look for the curriculum in that major at that institution. And then you present the curriculum to the child. Here's what you'll be taking for the next 4 years. Find out what the prerequisites are for that particular major. Can they do it during the summer? Should they take dual enrollment? Because some kids are
It's huge now.
utilizing those options as well, that help exempt them from courses when they get to college, but they're coming in prepared. And the summer programs too, Rashawn, just like you had a summer program for young people, looking for opportunities to enrich those skills. Sometimes there are free programs. Do the free programs, then build up to the ones that cost money and invest, and especially the ones at colleges and universities, even if it's a tech, and find out if those classes actually have credits.
Credits. Because Rashawn, that's one thing that I was gonna suggest to you as a parent is take advantage of the next that junior, because she's a sophomore now, correct?
Right. Yes.
So these next couple of summers, you want to be very intentional about what she's going to do over these summers.
Okay.
So college programs are huge, and it's a great way to test. It's a great way to get to know your child. I was sharing earlier how our oldest son Trevor went to Hampton for the summer. 6 weeks, got 6 hours of credit, hours, but also was a chance for us to get a little practice at independence. Like what we doing? How are you handling all of this? But it was a really good entree into, and I think it definitely helped him stand out.
And then
well.
also FaceTime with college professors that they may encounter freshman year, because Sky went to Stanford for sports medicine camp. So she worked with
Wow.
staff there, because you say you want to be sportsman. I'm gonna take you to one of the schools, the top. And let's be clear, and I understand. I use frequent flyer miles to get us out to California. I could not afford an $800 ticket. So it just so happened that I had frequent flyer miles. We made the sacrifice. Got an Airbnb. Sometimes you're staying with family. And let me be clear. When we went to California, there was one of my Jack and Jill family members, sight unseen, offered her home to me and my son for a week, and I stayed in a Howard classmate's home while I was in California, while my son was up at UCLA. That's when family and friends and networks, professional, personal, or academic, really come in to actually support your child's journey. So doing all of that, the FaceTime with the professors was key, because when it came to the application time, he was top of mind. And I firmly believe that sending him to NYU the summer before he applied,
Yeah.
putting him in the program that he got college credits for, made a difference in his application.
No
Absolutely. I'm sure it did.
So definitely you want to maximize the next couple of summers. Y'all want to be very intentional, and don't be intimidated. I don't care what school, UCLA, Howard.
Go for it.
Go for it. Because they have money to make that happen, or you all can begin to put the plan together to make that happen. But it certainly is a game changer. One thing I do want you to speak about, though, Desiree, is how competitive it is for Black girls right now.
It's extremely,
wow.
it's extremely competitive. African American girls are, they're rocking when it comes to college admissions. So one reality check that I received, and a reality check that I have to share with other parents, other moms out there, is that everybody has a 4.0 now. Okay,
Right.
we put so much stress on the educational system. Folks are just writing A's and B's. It is so non-unique. It's not even funny now. You got a 4.0, get in line with all the other, thousands of others who have. So your child you have to figure out what is the competitive advantage your child has over Janai. Janai and I are coming up in the financial aid office in terms of funding. What's going to rule me out? Between me and Janai, test scores potentially can knock you out of an honors, consideration. However, her having a Girl Scout Gold Award, volunteering at church, having this profile, and again, I am not suggesting. Let's be clear, to have these kids in 10,000 different programs because you want. This needs to be an organic process, student led. I want to go and be a church usher. Right. I want to do that. You can plant the seed. If the seed doesn't sprout, leave it alone. That's not your seed. Right. This is not your season. Find a different tree, a different plant. Right. But, I really need to impress on that, because I don't want anybody to go, oh, Desiree said this. Okay, go and volunteer for the NAACP. And then we're going to, no. Find the area where they're passionate in, and find the program in that passion area So not only are they pouring into others, they're also getting the skills and the resources that they need to build their own empire. Just like Vox Teen Atlanta was for my son. He went in because I wanted him to expand his writing skills. And then, photojournalism, videography or whatever, audio, he got all of that there. But then he then had to train other youth and then became an intern, a volunteer for the organization. And it became so commonplace for him. He earned 1,500 community service hours by the time and we weren't trying to do that. That was just an organic process. We got 15. Oh, yes. So in every narrative, earn 1,500 because that's the competitive advantage. That tells the people, yes, we do know that you have earned your place, your space in community service, in leadership. If you spent that much time in an organization, that means that's because you want to be there.
Wanted to be there. Yeah.
And we got, double the benefits. He's helping young people.
Right.
He's learning skills. He's growing. He was put on the board, the advisory board for the organization. So it built leadership skills, whole narrative.
Right. Rashan, one other thing that I want to make sure Desiree speaks to with you is leadership. I had no idea that leadership was so important. When my kids went to school, GPA, a couple extracurricular activities, done. You were winning. Leadership is everything right now. So can you speak to that, why it's so important in the context of what schools, not just as far as admissions, but really for scholarship money?
Definitely, because I'm in the process now with my third child. And over the years, because he compared himself to his brother and sister, his brother is a natural leader. Sky is a leader by default in terms of what it is that she does. So he felt that he needed to look like them. But he leads by assisting others, by empowering others. But he did not understand that was leadership. I had to explain. I said, you don't have to be front and center. The mere fact that you're able to encourage, that is a form of leadership. If you're on the track team and your coach says, because you led that way, that's leadership. That coach now becomes a potential recommender for a scholarship and application. But because he wanted to stay in the background, and I deeply regret that I didn't push him out more, because now the opportunities for some major scholarships are coming up, and his narrative is very thin in terms of leadership. We didn't do a good job of building his leadership profile because I was trying to be respectful of who he is. He's the nerd. I'm in the background. I'm running things y'all don't know. I'm quiet. But he needed to be more out in front and supported in how he leads. Not becoming, a cookie cutter version of someone else,
right,
but embracing his skills and abilities. So now I said, when we got the opportunity and said, this is a leadership scholarship, I looked at him. I sure did. I said, you see that now? Do you understand now? They said, yeah, I do. I said, what we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? So the good thing is we had to get a little bit creative. I didn't think of his coach saying he led his team and they went to, the state's, semifinals. So I'm like, great. That's leadership. Right. That's the recommendation. Right. That will be your narrative. Mm-hmm. That's who you are.
Right.
Right. Right.
Huge. What questions you have, Rashan?
How do you get started?
What we do here?
What's in this cup?
What is the first, as a mom, outside of because the program that she in is very interactive, of course, with the students, and I'm trying to allow her to go through the process, but I want to do some things on my own too. So what would you suggest? Obviously, it has to be a collaborative effort. Okay. I'm veering. I'm trying to get her to, she's got this lazy bone. You know how a lot of these kids, when you do well as parents, and then, they're privileged. They got a little privilege bone.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And we talk about privilege.
Yeah.
We don't talk about our privilege that we have created.
Right.
For our kids. A lot of times
Yes.
we're talking about the other privilege. No. Let's go on and be real. We have created privilege for our kids where not only do they not have the social skills, they don't have the educational. Can they do an interview? I'm like, first of all, No, that's not how you begin an interview, son.
Right.
If no, that's not what we're doing. So we have to begin the process of shoring up those skills. And I would actually say, in terms of beginning, where to begin would be sometimes, and also on applications. Do you have a job? It's time for a job, mom. I don't
Okay.
care if it's non-pay or volunteer, but they need to be responsible for something or someone else on a regular basis in order to build that accountability and that motivation, because either the job will be so hard, like, oh, I do want to get an education.
Right.
But it's a key piece, and you will also see that on applications for college and scholarships, because somehow a student's ability to be able to juggle school and a job and all of these other outside extracurricular activities improves their portfolio. So actually putting her to work, be it, a docent at an arts center or being in charge of children and teaching them the skills that she has actually learned. So not only is she pouring into the community, but that's also a job. Whether or not it's paid or not, it can also be characterized on an application as a job. For younger kids, that volunteerism is a job. Right now, my youngest did not have a job. Volunteerism is his job. He was a camp counselor. He's bilingual. So I put him with an organization that supports Hispanic and Latino children. And he is supposed to tutor them and also serve the summer camp. So that's pouring right into his passion, is shoring up his bilingualcy skills. It allows him to volunteer in the community, and it gives him a sense of responsibility, because he's a baby of the family. Everybody took care of him. I'm like, time for a job. They're your job. Give you a job.
Yeah, Bailey's at Atlanta International School, so she's on the French track. There's so much potential there. I gotta push a little bit harder. And again, bringing in, her godmother is probably going to help with that too. So we got to have a strategy meeting.
Well, one thing too, Rashan, that we have talked about in the context of this new generation of kids is, do they really want to go to school? And
Right.
And if you say yes, this is the work that you're going to have to do to get there. And I think those are some of the conversations we just never thought that we had, because we know the privilege of us going to school. Like, we were all desperately trying to get out and get to school.
Oh my God. And we grew up in the age of a different world. So we got to see, because both of my parents went to the same HBCU. So they preach HBCUs. And then you coupled that with me seeing a different world. Right. And I was like, who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. Especially when Dwayne became the hot boy. Right. And let's be clear, nothing wrong with those nerds. Y'all pay attention to the nerds.
Exactly.
The nerds turned into some quality husbands down
yes.
the line.
Right. But this is really a good time to have that real conversation with Bailey about, this is what you say you want. Let's talk about what it's going to really take for this to happen.
Absolutely.
Because it's a collaborative effort. And, that's one thing that I've talked to Desiree about, how difficult it was with our oldest son. Like, is this boy going to graduate from high school? Like, senioritis started junior year, probably the end of his sophomore year. Like, it was a miracle that we got him out of school, and he was resisting everything.
Right.
And I had a bit of the reverse with my daughter, because she was the type A, all A, and then burned out from the running around junior year, sophomore year. There was a tap out. Same thing actually happens with children who are athletes, who've been doing it since Pee-wee football.
Rashan, the swimmer, knows that.
And then they wake up one day and the child comes in, and, the family is, preparing for the living room for the draft.
Right.
And whether or not they're going to kick the girlfriend off to the side.
Right.
And then
it's
the child comes
narrative, right?
Right. I'm done. I'm retiring.
And everybody's like, wait a minute. But my dream was.
Right.
It's not true. So just creating that balance, when it comes to parents of athletes, my caution still remains. They still have to be scholars. I don't care how they got into the institution. Back in the day, and not to disrespect, my major at Howard, but a lot of the athletes were pushed in the School of Communications
Easy.
Yeah.
because it was supposed to be
Be
the easy
easy.
major,
Easy.
and it is not.
Right.
It
But
sure isn't.
that's what the presumption was. So that was a major that was created because in certain institutions, they did not want to invest in our children enough, only in the athletic ability. So then when the knee, but when they tear ACL, or there's an issue that goes on,
Right.
or a concussion, and they're out, they have nothing.
Right.
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 One thing too, Rashan, that I want Desiree to speak to. Can you just real quickly talk to her about the importance of the vision board that Bailey needs to do?
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
So the College Vision Board is an activity that I came up for my children. It is essentially the spirit of a vision board, but it is based on the colleges and universities that you desire to attend. And the beauty of the vision board is that it gives the student the opportunity to identify all of the critical areas and in ATL, in their academics, the honors classes they've taken, the summer enrichment programs, the test scores, ACT or SAT, and laying that out, but also looking at each university and college and finding out what the profile is for that student at that university or college, such as all of the universities. Typically, you have to search for it online because sometimes it's buried, their freshman class profile. They'll tell you the average test scores of that freshman class. They'll tell you the average GPA, and a little bit of information about them. So you want to make sure the vision board, we pull those statistics as well as the acceptance, the admittance rate. If it's a low number, like about 4%, that means it's hard to get into that school. If the admit rate is about 50%, that means you have a little bit of a better chance in order to be able to get into the college or university. So you want to be able to identify the schools, identify that criteria, and then we use sticky notes too under the critical categories such as leadership, volunteerism, because as the student builds their portfolio, they're able to see critical information that's needed for their college resume and also for applications all in one place.
Wow.
And Rashawn, what I found interesting looking at Desiree's kids' vision boards were it was, it wasn't just Howard, but it was literally this is the SAT score that I have to have. This is the GPA that I have to have. This is not only what it's going to cost per year, this is what it costs to go there for 4 years on that board. I was like, man, that's a whole different perspective versus I just want to go to Howard. Look at this 4-year commitment. Look at the 4-year commitment. And I think that will help you get a chance to get to know her a little bit better, but also for her to get a chance to know you want to go here, but this is what it's going to take. This is the commitment to getting here.
Got it.
Yeah, so do that vision board. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it will help catalyze a lot of information. And then it serves also as an opportunity for inspiration for the student to be able to see that every day. Like the goal is to have it someplace in the room where they wake up to actually see every day.
Right.
It's writing the vision and making it plain, quite honestly. Right. And it can change. It doesn't have to be one that's permanent. You can just move characters around, or you can get your own poster board and just stick things on it and remove it or add things as the student gains more information, resources, materials. You just, it's evergreen.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that.